Welcome back to the Broad Street Benchwarmers podcast. My name is Adam Den. Michael Cormelos is here with me. Ethan Leviditis, unable to join us. I think his description was that he went into Center City, Philadelphia to watch some Kung Fu movies. Am I correct on that? Yes.
Yep, at 1 o'clock.
At 1 o'clock. So we hope Ethan enjoyed his Kung Fu movies and we hope to see him soon. But we are here after week 2. 2 weeks in a row, Michael Cormelos. How about
Don't get used to it.
it? We hope to get used to it as
Yes, we do.
are to dive into the full NFL slate. And yeah, we'll go right in. So, big headliner of the weekend, I would say, Super Bowl rematch. The NFL did everything they could to put this in its own window, promote it as such, and it, I guess, lived up to what it was. I mean, would you say it lived up to what it was?
Yeah, it was a close. It wasn't like the Super Bowl. It wasn't 40-6. It was a 2017 game. It was very defensive.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And the end result, the Philadelphia Eagles defeat the Kansas City Chiefs 20-17. I mean, I think the easiest place to start would be this Philadelphia defense. I mean, to talk about how they were able to impact this game and really take it over late in it. We get the Drew Makuba turnover and the play of this. Really, the secondary throughout this game was incredible. They were able to lock down, outside of Tyquan Thornton late in the game, pretty much the entire Kansas City Chiefs receiving core. That was embarrassing. But a really good Cooper DeJean
Thornton's
game,
fun.
solid Quinton Mitchell game. He's got speed, man. He's here. Great Zach Ball game per usual, and really they just come to the rescue for this team once again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was really fun to watch. I mean, they shut him down. I mean, I will say you guys caught a really good break with Travis Kelce just straight up dropping the game when he touchdown. But
Yeah.
it was a good game to watch. And I mean, I think it says wonders that your defense it was able to kind of overcome the struggle per se of your offense.
Mm-hmm.
And just make plays, stay in it, and just kind of like what feels like put a nail in the coffin, like this everyone's scared of Kansas City thing. I mean, I'll be honest, I picked the Chiefs to win
Yeah.
this game. I mean, it wasn't really anything against the Eagles. It's just you have a first-year play caller and a second game of his life calling plays against one of the greatest defensive play callers. One of the greatest defensive coordinators of all time, and Steve Spagnuolo. So I also, because we're going to get into it, I wouldn't put too much blame on Kevin Patullo here. He was, it's an impossible task in your second game to try to out scheme Steve Spagnuolo. It wasn't pretty, but I think I don't really know what was going on. Like, I wouldn't take that as assessment of what Kevin Patullo is as a play caller, especially when you guys had a good week last week against Dallas offensively. Maybe not like a perfect week, but it looked good enough. We weren't saying that he was a terrorist after week 1, so it's been 2 weeks. Let him get his
Some of
feet
us
wet.
were. Ethan Leviditis was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with what you're saying defensively. I think, having a Vic Fangio unit to rely on late in this game, and, we do get lucky with the Kelce thing, but I think it also just speaks to their ability to create turnovers. It's been one of the best in the league since its time. They're so good at being able to get the ball loose, and I think a return to form on that, even in a year where, we know how variable defense can be in the NFL, the ups and downs. We saw units like the Browns last year and the Browns this year and the Browns the year before. We're going to talk about them, but it's like, woo, it's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
But to have a consistency and that all comes from Fangio, that's incredible. I'm worried about Kevin Patullo. I'm concerned about Kevin Patullo. I mean, going back and watching, I totally agree with the Spagnuolo stuff. I think he called a fine game with what he has, and we can talk about the Kansas City side in a second. I mean, what he's dealing with over there is really rough. But I mean, the route progressions with this offense for Kevin Patullo were incredibly worrisome. There was a lot of similarity. I saw something on Twitter earlier today. It was, I think I bookmarked it. It was they ran, I think it was 30 something plays out of the shotgun and passed the football in every single play. And anytime they did anything outside of that, they were running the football. And so basically just, giving it away
Yeah.
in that way. It looks eerily similar and eerily static as 2023 did. And again, you try not to overreact, but I mean, I think if you're an Eagles fan, it's troubling. So it's something you have to look into going into a game against a defense in Los Angeles next week who likes to do so much funky stuff, right? You think about that NFC divisional game where they're sending, Spagnuolo-esque corner blitzes and, lining up guys like Byron Young and uh, their other best interior player. They're lining up at edge and blitzing safeties and all kinds of wacky stuff. They're going to see a lot of tests in that way. And so I think I look for a little more creativity, but I mean, I think I also have to highlight, I think this is one of the worst Jalen Hurts games I've watched in a long time. He was,
he was bad.
Yeah, he was indecisive. He held on to the ball entirely too long at times. It was not pretty. So I think the marriage of the two creates a not great theme offensively, and you look for better going into week 3, but it is a little troubling.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. But, it's week 2.
Yeah.
The second time he ever called plays, and he beat the Chiefs. So,
yeah, that's true.
Can't come back too hard.
Want to touch a little bit on Kansas City and both sides of the ball?
I mean, the defense is whatever. I mean, the defense played a good game.
Yeah.
You guys only scored 20 points. They allowed 100 yards of passing offense. The run defense is a little troubling. But I'm more concerned about the offense. I mean, I'm sure, when Rashee Rice is eventually back and Worthy's back, it kind of helps a little bit, but it just still feels like Kansas City's been missing this big play ability ever since, Tyreek Hill left. It's very troublesome for me. That's how they were able to win so many games and so many Super Bowls. And I mean, you look back at 2022, 2023, not to PTSD, but even though they really weren't able to crank the ball downfield, big plays to Tyreek Hill, they still had, when Travis Kelce was near the end of it, but still in his prime. This is not the same Travis Kelce we have 3 years later. So what's the plan here? I don't see a definite future. And, starting to go into, I think losing that Chargers game is a massive blow, especially in the way the Chargers look. I mean, you're looking at a team that is going to compete in the AFC potentially. Could win the division.
Yeah.
Because the Chargers still get a home game, I think, against Kansas City, which doesn't really matter because Chargers fans aren't real. But
it's in Kansas City, but still.
Okay, well, it wouldn't have mattered. It was I don't know why I brought that up because it would have been a home game regardless. So I'm a little worried about Kansas City, especially, Denver's looking good at 2-0. The Raiders didn't look great last night, but, there's still promise on the Raiders side. I mean, they still held the Chargers to only 20 points. And
yeah.
I think that Chargers offense is significantly better than the Chiefs offense, running and passing.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to need to see the consistencies in the Raiders offense, which we'll get into. But there's that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I'm a little more concerned than you about the Chiefs defense, not because of, anything behind them, just because of the injuries that just continue to pile up. They lose Christian Fulton in this game. They lose Mike Dana in this game. Both are, I think, unlikely to play next week. And it just, for especially a defensive line that was already so thin, it's really troublesome. Chris Jones had an awesome game. He bitched Landon Dickerson on multiple plays. Landon Dickerson has not been good so far this year.
He's also playing injury.
He is playing through injury. Yeah, that's true.
Landon Dickerson injured is better than the alternative. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Tyler Steve wasn't bad.
No, he wasn't bad, and it really does come down to Chris Jones has to do everything, right? They're playing him at edge, they're playing him in D tackle. I saw them drop him into coverage a couple of times. It was embarrassing. It's brutal to watch on that end. And the amount they asked Trent McDuffie to do as well. We talked about this in the offseason. I mean, this is a guy who's primarily a slot corner. That's where he's best. And he's in man coverage with A.J. Brown. I think if Kevin Patullo had any sense of himself, he would have attacked that matchup a little more. So I do think there's troubling signs for the Chiefs defense. And then offensively, like you said, we've talked about it a billion times, their ability to search for the big play. Maybe they get that with Tyquan Thornton at some point over the course of
Maybe.
this year. But it is worrisome, and you have to wonder, when Worthy comes back, when Rice comes back, are they going to look like that? But I don't think we can make any judgments on this offense really for a good bit, just because they're so thin on that end as well. So, starting 0-2, not a disaster, but just more of the same is troublesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think we're going to move on to what I think is the next biggest headline of this week before we go game by game, and that is the quarterback injuries. They're happening all across the league. Joe Burrow, hurt, turf toe. He's likely going to miss about 3 months. J.J. McCarthy, going to miss 2 to 4 weeks. And then Justin Fields is in concussion protocol. And Jaden Daniels is now hurt with a knee injury. So any of those that stand out, like to dive into a little bit.
Well, the Bengals season's over. It's done. You're not going to compete without Joe Burrow. We saw last year they barely could compete with Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Defense is bad. It's not like in 2023 when the defense was passable and they were able to kind of Jay Browning was able to get good enough for him to keep them in games and they could still win 8-9 games and maybe compete for a wild card spot. But I don't think that's the scenario this year. I think this pretty much drops them to the worst team in the division. Well, no,
worse than the Browns.
No, not besides the Browns.
Yeah.
The Steelers, I think, are now become a better football team, regardless of what we saw on Sunday. And I think the Ravens were already a better team.
Yeah.
But, the Jaden Daniels thing is scary, but I think it's precautionary for a team that thinks they can compete for a playoff spot. I don't think they will be, but to start 1-2 would be kind of ugly. Because I don't think they win without Jaden Daniels. Is Mariota still there?
Mariota's still there.
I mean,
they play the Raiders. So they play the Raiders at home.
I don't like it without Jaden Daniels.
I don't love it, no.
I don't love it without Jaden Daniels. I mean, Mariota is one of the more competent backups in the league, so that it's gives me a little bit of confidence going forward, especially as a week by week injury, probably only 1 week problem. What were the other ones?
McCarthy. I know that doesn't move you.
It doesn't really move me much because I didn't think McCarthy was great anyway.
Yeah.
But Carson Wentz in 2025, yay!
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I think from a Bengals perspective, I think the biggest thing I'd highlight is the fact that, like you said, the defense has not improved at all. I mean, Al Golden has done his best, I guess, but just because things are more simplistic doesn't mean things are better. And I think we definitely saw that on Sunday. Trevor Lawrence was basically unpressured the entire game. They actually did not record a single pressure within that game. And so it just speaks to kind of their woes. And, these aren't exactly elite corners. You put them on islands, they're going to lose. So Travis Hunter had himself a pretty good day. Brenton Strange had another pretty good day. He's still hanging in there. Diami Brown had a really good day. We'll get into the Brian Thomas Jr. woes, but it's not a good sign for that defense. I think they can still be a 9-win team, but we're gonna find out a lot.
I just don't think 9 wins gonna be good enough to make the playoffs in the AFC.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very crowded, that's for sure, and that's what we're gonna have to talk about because I think there are a lot of teams in that AFC that we didn't expect to kind of emerge as contenders that have kind of emerged. You talk about NT, you talk about Pittsburgh. So there's that. The McCarthy thing, I've just kind of come to an acceptance that Kevin O'Connell is going to be able to fix anybody and anything. And so I do think they're actually still going to be a passable football team with Carson Wentz because, I mean, if we think about it from a pure physical standpoint, and yes, I know he's 32 years old, and yes, I know it's Carson Wentz, but he's probably not significantly less talented than we viewed Darnold as 2 years ago. Is that a hot take? So, yeah. So I think
he's not that much older than Darnold anyway.
Darnold
So I think it's kind of just the same thing as last year. If you can get him to perform well, it'd be a good feel-good story too.
Yeah, it would be. And if Carson Wentz just isn't a complete idiot like he was during the last 2 stops as far as his progression and his decision making, I think that can be functional for a couple of weeks. The biggest thing really is just continuing to take reps away from McCarthy, and it was quite obvious the past 2 weeks how badly he needed them. So that's a struggle. And then
he's really been bad.
Yeah, he's been
outside
bad.
of one quarter. I mean, there's 7 really bad quarters.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Like
And
that was
against
bad against the Falcons secondary. That I don't think is. I mean, the Falcons secondary that was missing AJ Terrell for
yeah,
back half of the game. There were
yeah,
plenty of opportunities for him to crawl back into it, and I mean, they could get Justin Jefferson involved at all. I mean, it's credit to the Falcons up front; they were pressuring him a lot, but that's bad.
yeah. And I mean, that's
I mean, I
honestly
don't
where
think JJ McCarthy's
oh
good either, but
yeah. I mean, that's where we can go. We can go to Falcons Vikings to start, and I mean, I really do think that Minnesota's lack of a run game killed him in that way. But for him to be as inefficient as he was, uh, especially, I mean, the throwing to his left stuff, like, my God, um, it's I think it's eventually going to work out as an experiment, and I'd like to see it without Dan School starting on the offensive line at left tackle with struggles that he's had this season. But it was tough to watch, and they just looked like a completely like non-functional offense.
yeah, that Vikings defense was awesome.
Yeah,
Not the Vikings defense. Oh, yes, the Vikings defense was good, but I meant the
that
Falcons
defense.
defense was awesome.
Yep,
Something
yep.
we didn't really see. We really talked about the offense a lot.
No.
Talked about, second year quarterback, possible breakout with Bijan and
Mm-hmm.
got Drake London, you got Darnell Mooney at 1,000 yards last year. Kyle Pitts is still a passable tight end, like good
Mm-hmm.
line. Like that's what we're thinking about. We're not thinking about the Falcons defense. They were terrible last year.
No.
Morris was awful.
Yeah.
And the fact they've kind of been able to turn it around the first 2 weeks, even though you weren't able to get the win against the Bucks. Bucks
Yeah.
are still a good team with a good offense. Then they look competent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I like what I see. I love what I've seen from the Falcons so far. Penix didn't have a great game, but I thought he was great last week against the
Mm-hmm.
Bucks. So I mean, like it's good. I mean, like I didn't really process this at all. I felt like he started a lot last year. I thought like for some reason coming into the year, I thought he
3 games.
halfway through the year they gave up on Curry. That was only his fifth start.
Yeah, and it was his second ever start on the road, and both have been primetime games. So
yeah, it wasn't terrible. I mean, like he
no,
was passable.
yeah,
They weren't really able to. The red zone woes were an issue, but he got them down the field.
mm-hmm.
He took what the defense was giving him. I mean, like it's all positive signs for a guy. I mean, like, and I feel like now for my draft evaluations, I'm just gonna stop like ignoring
Yeah,
college production. Like everybody was like, oh yeah, Penix is great, but he's old. Like no, Jaden Daniels is great, but he's old, so we gotta take the generation. Like no, man, like screw that. We're taking college production over anything. Like if you put up 6 solid seasons like Michael Penix did, and 5 solid seasons like Jaden Daniels, from now on you're my QB1, my QB2. Like there's no other way around it.
I guess. I mean, I don't want to take this as we should be drafting Jake Fromm's, but
Well, Jake Fromm was never good.
I know
in college, so it's actually a wonder Jake Fromm got drafted. I couldn't believe.
But I do feel that there's a poise that Penix brings to the quarterback position that we just haven't seen with really, I mean, to be honest, any of these rookie quarterbacks besides Jaden Daniels, I'm going to say, because Drake May, we'll get into it, has struggled really at points throughout this season. Huh?
Not on Sunday.
He had some issues on Sunday. And so
on the road.
Huh?
A win on the road is a win on the road.
I know. But I think Penix's ability to just run through progressions constantly, and I haven't been the biggest fan of how this offense has operated under Zach Robinson so far this year as far as their passing game, but he's certainly made most of it and put his skill position players in opportunities to succeed. And then the run game was ridiculous. Bijan Robinson was great. This interior offensive line was fantastic for really the first time, and they gashed a Minnesota interior defensive line that they put so much money into this offseason and so much, focus into this offseason. They just, were able to really get them on the ground. So I think that's really, awesome. Yeah, that's a really encouraging sign for this offense that, I mean, the part of this entire team that the part of this offense that we were maybe least concerned about has been the biggest concern. And I still have faith that they're going to figure it out with this passing attack. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think there's a lot of room for success here for this Atlanta team for sure.
exactly. I mean, their ceiling is climbed
Yeah.
exponentially.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So I think leading with second year quarterbacks and maybe less fun performances. You want to go to Broncos Colts where we got a little bit of the other side.
Yikes, that was a bad game.
Yeah.
They it was rough. I mean, let's be real. Bo Nix has been bad this year.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Bo Nix went 23 for 30 for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. I'm not going to put this on
He
Bo
he
Nix.
was
Like,
not he was
he
not
wasn't
great.
great, but he was. I'm not going to sit here and say he was the problem with the
He
defense.
was a
But
problem.
what?
I said he was a problem. The defense did get gashed. And I think, part of that and what we can talk about is how great this Colts offense has been. And it's one of the biggest surprises of this season is their passing attack under Daniel Jones, how great these skill possession players have been. And then Jonathan Taylor has like 160 scrimmage yards in this game. It was ridiculous.
The New
Yeah.
Orleans Saints last year, man.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
don't trust it. I really don't. I don't one bit. It's Daniel
here's my
Jones.
thing. Here's my thing. I'm with you there. But think about the differences between these two teams. That New Orleans team has Clint Kubiak at coordinator, who has basically just barely started calling plays. We have a guy in Shane Steichen who we've seen be a good play caller in the NFL and have top offenses in the NFL. This is a guy who took over and was great with Jalen Hurts, a guy who took over and was really good and I think not given enough credit with Justin Herbert. So I think,
And that's fine. That's really
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
But it's Daniel Jones.
I know it's Daniel Jones. I know it's Daniel Jones. But I also think about the infrastructure, right? That Saints offensive line was so good those first 2 weeks. We knew that Saints offensive line wasn't going to keep it that way. This Colts offensive line has been good for years. You know what I mean? Like, we know what they're like. This Colts run game with Jonathan Taylor, like, we know he's a top 10 back in the NFL and can be productive when needed. So
No,
I
absolutely.
think, even if Daniels doesn't keep as hot of a start, I don't think the circumstances around him are going to necessarily change in the way that New Orleans' circumstances that were around Derek Carr change so mightily. And so that's
Yeah,
why I have more faith.
I agree, but I don't have a lot more faith just because I know what I've seen in the past from all of these guys.
Yeah.
And mainly Daniel Jones just not being good ever in his
Yeah.
career. So we're gonna find out.
Yeah. But
It's just
can
too early
you,
to tell for me.
but I mean, think about it. I think this core that he has right now is more talented as a whole. Now, I know he has Saquon on that Giants team, but I think they're more talented as a whole than that Giants team.
Yeah, as a whole, I agree.
So,
But he was also never that good.
no, but does he need to be? In the division
I
he's
don't think
in,
this Colts offense
what
is a super team.
I think they're really good. I think Pittman's been awesome. I
I don't
love
know.
Josh
I'm not there yet.
Downs.
I'm not there yet.
Tyler Warren's been a top like 5 tight end in the NFL over the past 2 weeks. Like my guy. So you're getting there. You're getting there.
Yeah,
But
we're gonna
yeah,
find out.
we're gonna find out quick. Yeah. This Broncos defense, on the other hand, I know you wanted to get to them. I think, we got to talk about the Pat Surtain injury because that's really what kills them, early in this game. But I mean, it's going to be an interesting next couple of weeks to see if he's able to come fully healthy and they can get back to what they were.
You said it perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll find out a lot about this defense heading into these next couple of weeks and this Broncos team as a whole. I think it's finally time, and I know you're anxiously awaiting. We'll dive into a team that, you know, is maybe another contender for an AFC playoff spot, and we'll dive into your Houston Texans, who took on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last night. I know you have a lot of thoughts there, so I'll let you go on.
Bucks are a good team. We knew this. Yet they handed us the game on a silver platter.
Yeah.
And we didn't win. That's the biggest takeaway yet. Ed Ingram was good. Ariante Armstead was good. Defense was awesome. And that's all I have to say. Stroud sucked. Stroud was the O-line was bad. Outside of the left guard and the left tackle. Center, right guard, right tackle were terrible.
Yeah.
He faced pressure on it. When he had clean pockets. There were plenty of plays where he had clean pockets. And he just missed. He clean pocket. Dalton Schultz wide open on third down. Just misses him. Third and goal. I know, you should be lining up in the power one formation and running it up the middle, but they threw a jump ball to a wide open Nico Collins. Straight missed him. Roll out to the left side to a hard play to complete, but Nico Collins is open. Got to hit him. This is a guy who was making throws like this in his sleep his first year. And I'm not sitting here and say he's the problem. He is a problem. He regressed last year. He's regressed even more this year. He's taking too long to get through his progressions. He was getting through his progressions like this in 2023 in any film you watched. He's more mobile this year, which is great, but there's also times where he's taking too long to actually decide to tuck and run. It's costing him sacks. Not sacks, but costing him pressures. And then the O-line looks bad, even though he sat there and missed, two wide open receivers. Like there was a play where, Nico's wide open, like Nico Collins is wide open over the middle of the field. Like he's open like right here.
Yeah.
And there's a corner coming crashing down here, and he waits until Nico gets right here, and the corner is crashed down, and Nico has to play corner to make sure there's no interception. You know what I mean? At the end of the game, we're looking at third down on one of the game-winning drives, and he faces pressure, and what does he do with the pressure? He was both 3 yards forward and directly into the hands of Levante David. I'm not this guy.
Yeah,
that's an inexcusable performance, in my opinion.
Yeah,
and I think it's piss poor that D'Amico Ryans had the balls to go in the post game and blame the offense. There were multiple. I love the defense. The defense plays its heart out, but there are multiple plays on that last drive that the Bucs went down scored.
Yeah,
that we stopped them. There's some stupid ass penalty away from the ball. A hands to the face, a late hit. Bucs are in business. Bucs go down to score. For 36 games, I've sat here and listened to D'Amico Ryans sit in the post-game press conference and preach how his team is going to play more disciplined and how his team was going to play smarter. And he wanted Laramie Tunsil gone. D'Amico Ryans wanted Laramie Tunsil gone because of that.
Yeah.
And it hasn't changed. Nothing's changed. We're still the most penalized team in football. We lost last week because of penalties. Penalties are the main catalyst here, but we lost this week because of penalties. Offense can't get anything going. His hand-picked offensive coordinator is running a JV offense.
Yeah.
D'Amico Ryans is the number one right now in Houston. The honeymoon phase is over. We had the fun. We had the fun year one. Joyride. Last year ends in disappointment, but that looked better. We should beat the Chiefs. Penalties. Now, some of those penalties were BS. Now we need results.
Yeah.
They're the best defense in the league. It's not debatable. And, apparently this Messiah quarterback, we have top 5 wide receiver in football. There's no excuse. This falls on the head coach. I'm completely aware that Nick Caserio did not invest lots of money into this offensive line. He's got outbid on everyone. He's been completely unable to evaluate talent on the O-line, but also without Nick Caserio, we're nowhere near where we are right now. built almost a perfect defense.
Yeah.
And D'Amico Ryans gets to call it, which is nice. But D'Amico Ryans and Nick Haley right now are the problem on this offensive line, and then the quarterback. So Stroud is fourth on the list. But if he continues to when he has clean pockets, just kind of miss receivers, and take forever to get through the progressions, he's going to start slowly moving up.
Yeah.
Especially because this is a guy that they already seem pretty keen they're going to give $300 million to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we did this morning, right? And, obviously I can't pull up every single, play that I sent you and play that you sent me. I think there's a lot of legitimacy to your argument for the late game blows. I think especially in the late third and early fourth, when entire fourth quarter, really, Stroud really showed his struggles. He was inaccurate. There were struggles to handle the pressure, but I mean, as you said as well, it really just comes down to the amount that he's facing is so much more than any quarterback on any top team in the NFL.
Well, except for Joe Burrow, but that took
I
care of
think
us all.
the Bengals' offensive line is significantly better than your offensive line, especially in pass
They've
protection.
still had Joe Burrow 3 season-ending injuries.
I see. Here's the thing, and we didn't really talk about this with Burrow, but I think it's Joe Burrow early in his career got hurt because of his offensive line. Joe Burrow now, I think, gets hurt because of his desire to extend plays. The play he gets hurt on, he's running outside of the pocket to try to create something. He's making more out of himself. I would rather see that than have the pocket breaking down and him collapsing and that. So, we can say all we want, and we're going to preach probably the same messages about this Texans team for the remainder of the season. I don't think there's any new or revolutionary take I can have outside of this offensive line is bad and they need help. And I don't think there's any new or revolutionary take I can have on this defense because I completely agree with you. And there were a lot of mistakes there. I'm not going to advocate for the firing of D'Amico Ryans. I still think he's a good football coach, but I understand. So instead, I'm going to go to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers side and just say that, I mean, for Baker Mayfield in this offense in the last couple of minutes with the ups and downs that they had, this run game was really good. And their ability with all these backup linemen at different positions in there controlling the line of scrimmage,
Absolutely.
it was really cool to watch. Grant Barton has been so good for them at left tackle. Cody Mauch playing right tackle. Like, they've moved everybody all over the place and still managed to be successful. And so I think it has to be given credit there. I can't wait to see them with Wirfs on the field. I think they're just going to be an even more unstoppable unit. And, their defense has horses, even if it's not the name talent. Zion McCollum, outside of that Nico Collins catch, had a really good game. That defensive line, Yaya Diaby continues to be a monster. Vita Vea is still there. Like, they showed out on Monday night. I think you got to give them credit there, even with the woes of the Texans, maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
They're one of the second best team in the NFC.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
however, they did hand a 7-win Texans team, though, game on a silver platter for a lot of that game, which is very concerning. But
yeah,
it's one game.
Yeah, it's
It's
one
the
game.
best defense in the league.
Yeah. Yeah. We can move into who I think probably actually is the second best team in the NFC. And this was a Thursday nighter. Green Bay Packers dominate the Washington Commanders on Thursday Night Football and, really show as a defense who they are. You there? Oop. It got all blurry. You there? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You hear me before? Okay. Okay, I started. So we can move into who I think probably is actually the second best team in the NFC and talk about this Green Bay Packers squad. Go on Thursday Night Football, dominate the Washington Commanders, an outstanding performance. What do we see from maybe the hottest team in the NFL?
I mean, Packers dominated. Commanders sucked.
Yeah.
That's what I can say. Commanders walked on the road, got their asses whooped. Jay Daniels was bad,
Yeah.
couldn't generate anything on the ground, couldn't get Terry McLaurin involved. Defense was bad. Jordan Love kind of carved it up. Green Bay Packers defense is awesome. That's all I can say.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. We talked about it last week. Getting Micah Parsons, he had 8 pressures in this game and was just all over the field. And I think you have to start questioning for this Washington group, how are they going to adjust from 2024? And it doesn't seem like there's been much growth as a unit offensively. I know they played well enough in that Giants game, but they're running a lot of the similar stuff and doing a lot of the same similar things. This Green Bay team was able to really snuck it out and really surprise them in a lot of ways, as Jeff Halfley tends to do. So I think if you're Washington, it leads to a lot of looks in the mirror. And for Green Bay, I think my biggest takeaway was how encouraging it looked on offense, not on defense. I knew this defense could come out and dominate, but I think for this offense and for Love to look as good as he did, he's still, trying to create so many explosives. But one of my biggest things in the offseason was like, hey, Jordan Love, I know you're not going to throw the ball away, but would you mind running the football? Because that is something that can be a safer play to kind of alleviate risk, is your ability to scramble. And he decided to do exactly that in this game. And I think it's a really encouraging sign for this offense as a whole. So excited. Yeah.
I agree. Everything said.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good. So we will move into what I think probably was high on everybody's list on one of the best games of the week. The Dallas Cowboys invaded the 425 slot to go to overtime with the New York Giants in what may be one of our regular season games of the year. What were your thoughts on both of these teams, if we can even have any thoughts to process? Because this was something.
I have a lot of thoughts about the offenses.
Yeah.
Giants, Brian Dable called the game like he's trying to save his career.
Mm-hmm.
I did pretty well. They scored 37 points with Russell Wilson at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who you're playing against. That's impressive in 2025. Malik Neighbors is awesome. Wan'Dale Robinson's a fun too. They were really able to get the run game going around. Cam Scatterway was fun. The line held up. It's like, what? This doesn't happen to the New York Giants? What the hell?
Yeah.
And then I think another fun thing that happened, kind of in like my opinion, is the development of the Brian Schottenheimer. Is his name Schottenheimer or Schottenheimer?
Schottenheimer.
Schottenheimer, like the movie. Okay.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
That Cowboys offense is awesome. They're so fun.
Yeah.
Like everyone was shitting on this guy in the offseason. You don't know anything about this guy yet. Right? Like, relax. Jerry's not 100%. He's like 90% stupid. He's not 100% stupid. Like, it was a good hire, I think. It's paid off. Dak's awesome. Javonte Williams. He's made Javonte Williams look competent.
Yeah.
What more can you ask for? Great receiving core. Yeah. You can ask for defense. They don't have one. Neither team has one.
Yeah.
I'm way more concerned about Dallas defense.
Yeah. I'd still argue New York has one. But yeah, I completely agree. I think from a Dallas perspective, like the amount of just creativity that comes outside of the brain drain that was Mike McCarthy is so crucial. I mean, they were so static offensively. They were one of the least motioning offenses in the league. You have CeeDee Lamb working all over the field, and they were getting him matched up with whoever was the backup Giants corner constantly in this game, and just attacking, getting him away from Drew Phillips, who played a really great game and is part of why I have so much confidence about this Giants defense moving forward. And then, like you said, the run game a lot more diverse than it's been in the past. On the Giants side, I thought a lot of this was luck. I'm going to be real. A lot of busted coverages in the back end for this Dallas team. A lot of the moon balls go the Giants' way. I'm not sure this is a formula for success on offense. Where I do think it can be a formula for success is on defense, actually, even though they gave up 37 points. I think 40. Yeah, ended up being 40. This line was able to get pressure at times on Prescott in ways that they really weren't able to touch Daniels until the third quarter of that game, and I think they're only going to continue to grow in that way. They're dealing with a lot of injuries at the linebacker spot. I think when they get healthier at that spot, they're going to be an even better tackling unit, which is going to help because so much of it was just Dallas being able to get creators, even Kavontae Turpin, into space and just breaking tackles and getting first downs.
I
So
love that guy.
I love that guy too. He's a lot of fun. Well, I don't love him because he's a Cowboy, but he's a lot of fun. But it's they're a really fun unit to watch on the front. And ran into another really fun unit to watch in this Cowboys team. And Cooper Beebe missed the second half, but this Cowboys offensive line we have to give credit to as well. They've been so much better than I expected them to be. So I think both of these teams are probably in this lower tier of the NFL, and that's probably what they showed us. They're both somewhere between 4 and 8 win teams, but there's definitely a ceiling for both offenses if everything clicks. Now it's going to take a lot more for the Giants to click on the Giants side, but they're going to be in some games this year, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So kind of leading off, got a lot of games left. Give me your best remaining that you feel we gotta highlight. Michael's game of the week that we didn't talk about.
You're gonna laugh.
Okay.
Saints 49ers.
I just laughed.
49ers defense is able to hold.
Yeah.
So the offense is able to function without Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Mac was fine. I'm encouraged by the Saints offense.
Yeah.
Somewhat. Spencer Rattler's been above replacement level quarterback this season.
Yeah.
He's fighting for a job. He said, he's kind of noticed that how bad the 2026 quarterback class is going to be. He's like, all right, well, I got another year. Might as well play like it.
Yeah.
He's been awesome. Kind of crazy. I thought it was done after he got benched for Cable. I thought his career was over. Yeah, he's back. He's doing his thing. It's fun to watch. It seems like he's developed as a guy, too. He's not like that, asshole that was on like that high school Netflix show or whatever.
Yeah. No, I agree. I thought
Moore's doing good out there, too.
Yeah. He had a really solid game. And, it speaks to Kellen Moore's abilities, but I think a lot of times we get in these bridge quarterback situations, right? And we don't think about Hurts was in that situation a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Dak was in that situation a couple years before that. This isn't something unheard of, and I'm not suggesting that Spencer Rattler is going to be the Saints franchise quarterback and lead them to, tons of regular season and for Hurts Super Bowl success. But it's definitely promising that through 2 weeks he looks to be a competent NFL player, and I guess I can attack it from a Niners perspective as well.
He's fine. It's a Kyle Shanahan offense.
Yeah, he played well though. He was scrambling. Did you see it? You see the videos?
All I watched is Spencer Rattler show like all the day.
Okay. You should watch the video and see him scrambling for 20 yards. I think you'd enjoy it. No, probably wouldn't.
I hate that guy. It's a terrible person.
So I'd say my most important that we did not dive into was probably the Rams and the Titans. And I will continue my Tennessee Titans. We're gonna be funny. We'll continue my
You
Tennessee
watched
Titans.
one play from the Titans offense.
Nope, we're all in. We're all in.
One play, and it was that one.
I watched the whole game.
The only good throw he made.
I watched the whole game, Michael Cornwallis, and no, I am not high on what Cam Ward did in this game. Cam Ward has taken 11 sacks in 2 games. That is not good. The Titans' offensive line. I don't have any
sympathy. I give no sympathy. It's impossible for me to care.
The offensive line is awful. He has held on to the ball for entirely too long at times. But, God damn it, man. God damn it.
Who could have seen this coming? Cam Ward wasn't going to be perfect when he didn't have 15 seconds to throw in an NFL baby system.
That man has made magic happen on a weekly basis for an offense that doesn't have much around him. It was a miracle that they were able to put together the scoring drives that they did. He's whirling outside of the pocket and creating on the zone. And I'm sure you saw the resurgence of our boy Elik Iomanor, who is going to
What
be
resurgence,
wide
dude?
receiver 1 in this Titans offense. It's coming.
He's so
It's coming.
bad. They're all
Watch
so
out.
bad.
Watch out. Watch out. And then on defense, this interior, at least through the first half, played well. They were solid. Devondre Sweat, Jeff Simmons, like if they start to generate a secondary, it's solid. So I have hope for this team for the future, and they are definitely like my Sunday ticket watch every week. Like I love watching them play. On a Rams perspective, Stafford is like nobody's talking about him as an MVP candidate. I feel like right now, if we're gonna do like a power ranking, it's like Lamar and then Love, and then probably they're 2-0. Lamar, Love,
What?
yeah, Josh Allen's up there too.
Above Jordan Love.
Lamar, Allen, Love. Josh Allen just won. Voter fatigue. It's not gonna happen again.
Still, he's like we're not voter fatigue.
I know we're not
exist.
voter fatigue. I know. Okay. Goff's probably will be in the conversation. That's the game. Baker played bad week 1 though. I mean, same as Goff though.
Game-winning drive.
Yeah, I know. But Stafford has to be up there in that conversation. He is playing lights out football. We were all like, "Oh my God, the back! What's gonna happen?"
Who's winning?
But
You.
all of us,
We're like, oh my God.
we were all scared about Matthew Stafford's back.
No, I just thought the defense.
You didn't have him winning the division. You had the Niners winning the division. We were all.
I mean,
we were
not
worried.
because of Matt Stafford's back.
Yeah, but he's been slinging it. The receiver core has been awesome. Devontae, I mean, who would have thought? But he has been such a crucial, piece to this offense. That was sarcastic. And just such an upgrade over Cooper Kupp and his kind of discrepant corpse that we're seeing in Seattle right now. And this defense continues to be really fun. They were able to really get at this Titans offensive line and make it hard for them. So really fun game. Really good watch. Michael Cornwells, before we head out of there, give me what you're watching most for going into week 3.
I don't know. I'm not prepared for this. Falcons.
The Falcons.
The Falcons in their entirety.
Falcons in their entirety. They will
My new
go
favorite team.
on the road to face the Carolina Panthers. Is there something about that matchup that intrigues you?
Michael Penix.
Michael Penix. Yeah. Bad defense. He has the potential to carve it up. I agree. What I am watching most going into next week, I believe, is, and I'm going to say this. Well, you know what? I won't go that direction. I was going to go the Philadelphia direction because, that is probably what I'm watching most. But I'll try to keep it out of there. I will say what I am watching most is this Broncos-Chargers game and how this LA Chargers offense responds to really their biggest defensive test, and maybe you could argue even their first defensive test of the season as they go at home against Denver. I think this is a game that could determine the AFC West potentially.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's all we've got. Who are we firing? Everybody's too happy.
What?
Who are we firing? Everybody in the city of Philadelphia is too happy. And we can't fire D'Amico Ryans. He doesn't count. You already fired him about an hour ago.
Nick Nurse.
Yeah, I like that. Let's fire Nick Nurse. You know what? You know who else we're going to fire? The fucking Sixers ticket people. Tickets to Sixers Lakers are like $500 already, and they haven't even released them to the public. Fire the Sixers ticket people. Thank you.